but it is Alexandrake, and once again we're playing the Yetter. Last time, we have been playing Rebecca's story, and it was mostly a recap of basically episode 1, but from Rebecca's side of things. How she, witnessed, spooky events, how she, at the theatre, after the cinema, she was driving Isabella back, and she witnessed the dose there. So, in a sense, the dose has been attacking all of them at once at the same time. Through spooky nonsense of, I don't know how, but it's cool. Regardless nonetheless. And I only feel, and she found out that Isabella had been struck down by the tar by Ash, who really should have been much more faster with that delivery. You know, I probably would if my friend was hit by a tar. I would have told you straight away, but oh no, Ash is a weird fellow. Can't wait to see what his story's all about. But further ado, let's dive in. We're at the hospital and see what happens next for Rebecca Dales. Sounds good? Grand. The whole ward is almost too quiet when I arrive. No paramedics or nurses soon pass, no doctors and scrubs bearing out orders, or even patients moaning and whimpering in in different areas. She's already been taken to the trauma room according to the overhead announcements.
Attention please. Adult Tier 1 trauma alert. Please respond to the trauma center, shock room 4.
None of this is what I'm expecting, the act of chaos. With the air so calm and unstirring, in spite of what's taking place beyond this waiting room, so unite what they often depict in the Terry. Although it's to be foolish for me to believe any of those shows. There may be some degree of accuracy in it, true, but it's all often done for the sake of entertainment and stirring up people's emotions. Yet despite the knowing that I will crave for the noise, the commotion, the worried voices, or even the shouting, anything, whatever that would temporarily take the edge off my nerves. Instead, much like everything today, what I get to have when the trauma nurse finally shows up is an impassive declaration of, "She's in critical condition, ma'am." Nothing I've not yet heard off from Ashton before. He doesn't spare me another word, not even a single explanation of what they're doing to Isabella. They had a... In that minute, I've been entrusted with her beyonds, everything now smeared and written of fresh blood. Afterwards, it's back to the science den, yonder this time. With only glass doors occasionally wheezing, as well as the nearly wooden voice of the hospital intercom for company.
Paging Dr. Nicholas Vogel to Lord William Ward. Shock room 4. Please report to Trauma Center, shock room 4 stat. Dr. Vogel, please.
But who am I to demand for more when in some part of this bloody emergency ward, Isabella's fighting for her life? In the end, no matter what my complaints are, what I want to hear or see, they're all useless here. I'm useless here.
Dr. Vogel, please report to the Trauma Center, shock room 4 stat.
All I can do is sit down and wait, go through every small motions to keep myself occupied, prevent my mind from thinking of every ugly scenario this might lead to. Just as stubborn, annoying, or childish as I regard her time, and then
I don't want to lose a friend to this.
Oh. Not in this manner. And it's that thought I hold firmly to. As the hours go by, as the halls grow quieter, and everything around me turns dimmer, beater, it's what I keen on. I am with a small P at the heart of it. I muttered prayer, desperate and earnest, all at once.
I've never been the religious kind. I don't think I ever will identify as one. But if there's some other force, someone out there who can hear, please listen to me just this once.
Please don't take her away. Oh, yes, sir. For yon sheep tames me, thought of the absent images of blood and a single voice on faint struggle with death. Thus the waiting game begins. Oh, no. Oh, it's so quiet. It's really thrown me off. Oh, this is really weird. The foreign morning arrives on any other day before it is bright and clear. As if the world hasn't completely tilted out of focus the night before, it never ever happened. It's a good day by Thomas standards, about one I can't fully appreciate. Maybe I would have if it wasn't the hospital glaring fluorescence that greeted me first, or my eyes still ain't rough with sleep, or I've chosen a more comfortable place to doze off. Even better if I'd gotten a more pleasant news than what I received after waiting for hours on end. But times like this, you simply take what you can get. It could have been worse. We could have used the Yosta. The doctors and nurses said so. Fighting strong! I refuse to believe that she's gonna die. I can't have her die on this name. But by some bull-headed miracle, we didn't. What do you know? She's actually found some use of her stubbornness. If she survives this, it seems like this will be the last time I'll rail on her about that. It might have saved her, after all. They had to induce coma, yes. It may not be what we wanted, but it was sure as hell isn't the end of her. And that's enough. That's good enough. We can work from there. At least at this, we know in her own little way, Isabella's still fighting and hoping isn't such a futile thing for us. Satri thinks so. And like me, he never falters, not even once since he arrived and joined me in my vigil. Even when the uncertainty starts to have its sway on me, all he has for me are reassurances.
You did the right thing, Rebecca.
You don't know that. What if she doesn't want this? Do you see all of these? Wires and tubes and bandages everywhere. She's barely herself, clinging to dear life as it is. She can't even hear us. Doesn't even know there are people here worried sick for her.
The point is she's still here. Don't beat yourself up over what ifs.
True, Satri. Oh, see, another reassuring character to help out the situation who is definitely absolutely alive. He's alive. He is. Peace.
This ain't over for her, aight? I've seen people recover from even worse. Have some faith in her.
I do have faith in her.
You know what? I think this is just a lack of sleep talking. You been here since when? Last night? Go get some rest, Miss Gales.
But Isabella's...
I'll take care of her, don't you worry. We can do shifts if you want. But go home first. We'll talk about that later when you ain't looking like you're about to fall apart. If you keep going like this, you're the one who'll end up here next.
I don't know if it's the optimism in his tone that did it, but his words were guided in the mood around us. Some of the exhaustion finally yes, enough for a soft chuckle to skip out from me. How odd. Out of all the people, Satri's the last person I ever expect to dare pick me up from. He is the greatest person in this game. I'm just saying. After all, we've never been particularly close. At best, we're good friends. We talk we laugh when the situation calls for it, but admittedly, none of those will ever occur if Ashton or Isabella aren't there. It's not entirely uncomfortable, but awkward nevertheless. Actually, what is the relationship standard between you two? It's pretty high. I did make it pretty high. Still here he is, in spite of the dark, or whatever dark cloud hanging above his head, DAG. I can't possibly reject his offer, knowing that, can I?
This feels like a conversation I had with Isabella a few days ago. I said the exact same thing to her.
Then maybe it's a sign you should rest. Let me take over from now.
Maybe. But I'll keep that in mind. Are you sure you'll be fine alone? I'll come back this evening. So if you need anything picked up, I can get it for you.
Nah, no problem on that front. Besides, if I do need something, my apartment's just a few blocks away. Skipping a hop, that's all I need. Focus on getting some sleep. Let me take care of this for a few hours. Do it for everyone's sake,
Will do. Thanks, Sakura. If something changes with her, promise me you'll call.
You'll be the first one to know, ma'am. Well, if it comes to that. I hope the news I bring will be better than the one we got this morning.
Since I was being nice to Rebecca from Satry's perspective, I wonder if I was harsh, this would lead to a different turn of events. That her path would be pretty different. I'm intrigued. I am quite intrigued. I should probably do yet a what-if series on this entire thing. Probably take a while, but it would be kind of interesting to see what the other alternatives were. Let me know if you're intrigued by that premise.
Crazy thing having to wake up to this.
I hope so too. I'll see you later.
I give him a smile before even. Variety is a week and a half-hearted attempt at intelligence, and whether it's intended to be for me or for him, I don't yonder over it. At the end of the day, we both need a little strength, we to muster and stand between us in whatever form those may come. The door is behind me with a soft kick, and I ask muffling the ceases beeping from the machines. But I know this isn't the last time I'll be hearing those. No, we lost sound. It feels even weirder now. Not than AI. A wholly different atmosphere meets me when I step out the hallway. Still, pierced beyond with this sharp, bitter air dangling and pressing before my head as I make my way out of the ward. It stands as a stark contrast to the room I came from only seconds ago. With the whole place like this, Satry's past and remarks about Isabella's years ago rings truer. He's right. There has always been this certain warmth she carries around whenever she does. The sunny, sprightly time reminds you of a little home of those childhood memories so often forgotten. Someone I both envied and ignore in her, to the point of taking it for granted. But in spite of the circumstances she's trapped in now, it remains with her in that room. Oh, yes. And even it is yet a dose of cold water. Every thought, every responsibility, every worry I set aside last night returns to me tenfold. Someone has to inform BRC, then there's also her aunt who works in another country, she needs to know as well, her family in the Philippines too. And although he never asked for it, I'm sure Ashton will also appreciate any news on her tradition.
Bloody hell. This is supposed to be easy.
To on the other end of the news, as simple as that, offer small soothing words, if need be, no matter how meaningless or how flat they fall in the other's ears. Yet my hand wavers. The moment I pull my phone out, my whole body freezes. I stop in my tracks while my thumb hovers uselessly over the names on the string. Her aunt, her mum, Ashton. The letters on it flitter brightly, almost accusingly, at my historian. How will they react? How would her family feel hearing this from someone they've never even met before? Ooh, how do I tell them? Oh, God. What do I say? There are a million ways to do, none of them pleasant, all of them out of my control.
But I can't simply pawn this off on someone else, can I?
Even before I agreed to her emergency contact, I've always known the responsibilities that came with being named one. At a young age, I already did, and Isabella's trust goes as far as to put me on that yes. If that doesn't say what she thinks of this little friendship, I don't know what else will. And now I bolted it.
That simply isn't how the Scotswoman in my blood does things.
So before I use this sudden resolve or stumble back into another cycle of negative thoughts, I press down on the tool button. Asking first, I think about how I'll deal with the other skater. Though I still have no clue on how I'll open the topic, the news is still far cry from a good one. But with him, I won't have to worry about how to best phrase it. Words, choice, turn of phrase notwithstanding, ultimately this is all just sound, it's an update on the situation for him. When he finally answers, however, a certain tightness in his voice makes me pause. Hoarser, rougher than I remember, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out he hasn't gotten any sleep yet.
Becca? Didn't I tell you not to call around this hour unless it's urgent?
I remember, sorry. Don't worry, this'll be quick. It isn't urgent, but I thought you should... You deserve to know about this as soon as possible.
Can it wait? At least until lunch?
It can, but I'm about to...
Rebecca, I'm in the middle of something right now. I can't really talk over the phone. I'll just call you back.
Okay. Stuffing the papers follows his dismissive note. He hasn't dropped the tool yet, but his impatience and inattentiveness are clear. There's no need to dust, I can almost see it. The small style of his features, the way he reaches up with his hand and pinches the bridge of his nose when Tant figures something out. His quick and sharp movements while he checks and reads through everything with an enormous focus. Generally, I know it. I tore him for an entirely different reason. Even so, the sudden nonchalant urge. Maybe it has to do with his own assault, and without a doubt, he's been at this since his tour last night. That part I understand. Still, would it hurt for him to pause and ask for a minute? Do I always have to spell it out for him? Or maybe it's time we stop beating around the bush. Ooh. Aren't you going to ask about how's the investigation doing? I want to be nice, but I do want to be mean. However, I am curious if he's found anything. However, no accident attempts at push will only be met with an almost equal amount of bloody-minded aversion. Honestly, there's the other things he needs to hear at that moment. But bringing all his concerns out in the open will probably make me sound more of a pure asshole than a concerned friend. We're in the same boat after all. This is for him as this for me. Never mind the specifics, that's how or the whys. We're both tired. Though unlike me, it's reality he hasn't done the chance to breathe easy since the whole thing began. Forevermore, Saturday isn't with him to listen, yet he always does. So if I could ease some of the burden off him by holding off my sharp retorts and opinions, then for the time being I'll gladly do so.
How is it going, by the way? Any news?
The rushing from his side abruptly stops. All of a sudden, a hush sweeps over him and I immediately recognize it. This is him mulling over how to best articulate the answer, how to weave together those little truths he's not ready to brave. Just doing so reveals too much of those fears, his weakness, and what he believes he failed to do. Unspoken as those may be, they yet all yowder in his science. They all seep through the tiny traps, begin to show in what he walls he keeps. He doesn't really answer enough to hold when he realizes his bearings and his shuffling return to it. He is urgent, milder than his actions earlier. His soft exhale and his aspiration comes as it heals.
Not good.
Not good, as in...
As in, we aren't getting anywhere, Rebecca.
What about the surveillance cameras? You said you were going to check those last night, didn't you? Can't you use them? It must have caught something.
Yeah, we got the footage we needed. Oh, shit.
Don't talk like that. They spent a good chunk of the taxpayers' money on those, didn't they? I'd be cheesed off if you can't even find any good use for it.
That's precisely what's frustrating about this. Those are top-of-the-line security cams. They're not supposed to just stop working.
Yeah.
But that night they were all useless. The recording chose to fuck up the exact moment we needed them.
Interesting.
How dumb is that?
His voice fades, gradually swirled by a constant din of traffic around him, the only words and every imputation that they carry. If he has found other ways around his precinct, he leaves all of it unsaid or has already been the opposite and hub-dub around him. As disappointment is the only thing I hear when he finds his tongue.
The guys at Tech have been trying to clean the footage since it was turned over. No promises from them, though.
Another round of shuffling falls, paper being folded and stacked neatly together, and the sharp tapping of the shoes against concrete. Soon a tar door chases behind him with a heavy thud, effectively shutting out the noise outside. However, he yet or feels at present whatever bound to happen next, he wants the out of the world to see this one weakness. Except the yawl that ensures deafness more than the soothes. He's quiet for a young moment, with only his breathing breaking through the dense air every now and then. Although the iron hasn't been cut off yet, I dare not speak. I've seen him like this before, and right now, even with my distance between us, forming a clear picture of him in my mind is easy. His head leaning against the steering wheel, hands dripping out a lifeline, and his eyes shut tight in an effort to compose himself. He's angry. None of what's happened around him.
Frankly, we can't move like this. We can't even find any witnesses. Those recordings are the only thing we've got. And if Tech can't fix those, if we can't even get anything out of it, without those, we've got no other leads. And this case is going to get dropped faster than a badly written police report.
Yikes. But himself.
If that happens, frankly, I've got no other choice but to let go of this. There's only so much I can do for her with all the red tape. Damn it.
No pronunciation, no words of encouragement. I don't know for him any. Whether he's waiting for those or not, those aren't what he wants to hear at the moment, despite himself. And sure enough, after another bout of silence and skirting around the topic, he finally asks, in a tense, small voice, too afraid of the answers yelling around of one question, too wary of what people will see behind those walls already torn apart at the seams. But he admits it, permits me to see beyond, if only for a short second.
How is she doing, by the way?
After all, that the East can give him is a plain spoken answer.
Comatose. Medically induced. She's on life support. They had no other choice. Surgery was stopped after a few hours because continuing would have been more fatal for her. They were losing their options, and her chances were slim from the moment they brought her in. That she managed to make it this far is already a miracle.
That's a little too optimistic. Is that how they phrased it?
No, not exactly like that.
Just give it to me straight.
The doctors, they were... Last night was a miracle. But they said we shouldn't hope for another with how things are looking. They aren't going to do anything without our consent, of course, but it'd be best if we let her family know. Let them decide.
I see. I expected as much.
Oh. Have some faith in her. She'll get better. I wish I could tell those same words to him with the same certainty Sattery does. But were people raised swayed by blind optimism? Aston especially. He has seen her last night, he has known the odds even before the doctor saw her. It's very probably he already steeled himself from the worst of it even before the news came. This one might seem better, she's alive, she's still with us. When you look at it from his point of view, is there even any differences? Oh wow, damn. I'd say Aston. I'm intrigued, Aston. With Sattery, it's easy to believe that this is not too difficult to hope. With Aston, none of it is in tone when he matters. A twit goodbye and taps the door. In truth, I hope I will somewhat be able to urge him to drop by and chat on it. But as the busy notes fade from my phones, the chance of him ever doing that drove ever see him as well. He'll keep at this until he's exhausted all his efforts. It'll just be me and Sattery with her. The weight of that 40 own already feels staggering. What? Sorry, what? If I have enough mental capacity to take this on right now, I'll gladly do so. Just as it over with. But the way things are, and I am now, I only end up doing more harm than good, both to myself and those around me. What? What's happening? Besides, the more pressing matter is getting out of this place. Because when I get up from my phone and find him in my surroundings... Oh no. Ah, no! It's dose time, isn't it? Only an unfamiliar hallway greets me. Brighter yet is any other corridor here, although oddly void of people in the usual hospital clamour. No voices announcing over the intercom, no beeping from the machines inside the rooms, not even a single patient waiting, or the occasional doctor or nurse on the rounds. I must have taken the wrong turn, somewhere while I'm busy worrying about those phone calls earlier. That ought to teach me something.
Of all the places to get lost at.
I've never thought much of this hospital before. Their necessity, walking alone in a deserted area inside one, however, with the walls coming off too white, too keen in my eyes, perhaps even too dull, I can't help but feel a bit queasy about it. I had a fact about that. A pure white room, you can actually go mad if you've just given the pure white room. Which is fascinating, how that can be the case. I'm not saying you should try it. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting. Nah, you do what you do. I'm not your mum or dad. A heavy, unsettling feeling yawns on my stomach. It's about unnerving, but far more agreeable than the sensation of being watched, I've been enduring these past few days. And I know I shouldn't do this here, but...
Hello? Anyone here?
Now you just jinxed yourself. That's 5 times. 5 times. Rebecca, you read us asking for it. Faint footsteps and murmur of voices echo from somewhere. Yep, here we go. Still no one responds to my tool. Oh. It may bounce off the walls before dwindling. Until all I have company is the sound of my footsteps. Admittedly, this is a little discerning. But for now, I yet the distant noise died me as I walked along the empty corridor, looking for the exit that will lead me back to the main lobby, or anyone I should ask for directions. A good minute passes, and another. I'm about to turn around and retrace my steps instead when... Oh, here we go! The sound of it makes me halt. It's usual myth and infrequent, but grows louder after each passing second. With the hallway devoid of people, I don't have to strain my ears to pinpoint where it's coming from. Not too far ahead, in fact. Of course. Just past the sharp turn at the end of the corridor. Of course. And cheer ye, it's the voice of a child. Oh, that's no child, Rebecca. That's no child.
Where are you, Mother?
She effed you. On a normal day, I won't concern myself with this, considering where I am. I'm just Tom and Doe here every day. Whatever business they have here, whatever they arrive in tears or not, I've got nothing to do with it, and vice versa. Personally, I don't think the strangest worry would do much when there are nurses and doctors already attending to them. But that was the best question. Why a child is here trying? Possibly on her own. Did she happen to wander, hear what I did? If so, I can't just say, well, Eve here. Can I? Can I find my own way out? What more if it's a child? Oh, get out of that's no child. That's no child. Though I'm quite sure that the hospital's safe place and our Roman staff will eventually find her, who knows what else might happen if I just leave her here.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
No. Jump out the window seems far more beautiful and happy than dealing with that nonsense. In any case, I don't have the heart to turn my back on this, not when it is just a few meters away from me. Rebecca, don't! I might as well check on her, make the job easy, and bring her with me to the lobby, where her parents can easily find her. It's not totally out of the way. 6 times! 6 times! You're jinxing yourself. So gingerly, I seat her out. Taking light mindful steps as I approach where sobs come from, hoping not to start with her. My caution, however, is ineffective. The closer I get, the more frantic her sobs become. I try to ease the fears by calling out to her, but...
Hey! Hello there? Can you hear me? Mother, please! She's here! She's here, Mother! She's going to take me!
Okay.
I'm not going to hurt you. Are you lost? She won't leave, Mother.
Is this another trick?
I'm heading back to the lobby. Do you want to come with me? Your mom could easily find you if we go there. Mother, I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. All right. Why don't we just find someone who can...
Suddenly she tries out, and in a flash, her stiff sobs grew louder and more violent, fraught with fear and dread. Doesn't stay too young for a little fact to register. I'm not the one she's talking to from the beginning. Whoever it is, she doesn't want the person with her in here.
Mother, she's here. Help!
I don't think twice. All the haze I endeavour, despite the weirdness of my bones, I bring to the realm before the panic sets in. Yes, Rebecca! Down my own safety, but if something happens to that kid, oh no. Not more than a few hours after Isabella's accident at that, I won't forgive myself. No, Rebecca, that's not a child! I may not have been able to do anything for Bella, but this one's right in front of me.
She's going to hurt me!
Oh, God.
Help me!
I won't just sit this one, you're a useless person. Another stream ripples through the air as I near the bend. However, this time the sobs die down along with it. A wave of toad creeps through my whole body as entire toad that does holy quiet has never been a good thing in situations like this. In 3 more steps, I mated around the corner, bad ready in my hand, only to be greeted by a wall the moment I turn to a adjoining wall. That's Yadi Shard. A dead end. It takes me a few slow moments to take it all in, despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. No sign of the door or whoever's with her. Just an empty alcove with a single painting sitting on the bare wall.
Where did they...
I twitched down in the air through nothing, not even a hint of scuffle. The only way out of here would have been the sliding doors standing adjacent to me, but even that yet's untucked, bolted shut to boot. The tall door I've just passed through seems to be the only way to get here apart from the door. I would have met them if they tried to leave. I'm far from having Aston's teen observations, but that certainly didn't sound like a simple tantrum you could shove under the rug and forget about. Anyone making a desperate try at that would have left things in disarray.
Especially a child.
Yet I'm the only one standing here, in the presence of a painting that gets much to be mocking me and the absurdity of my actions. This feels like Ghostbusters 2 all of a sudden. Although, to be fair, the real Yadi Shai at Emendard probably won't be doing any of that sort. I'm not sure about that. Yoda history has constantly written spoon of women fondly and dear to everyone much like their parents. History lies sometimes. This is a face of something worse, I'm pretty sure, from what I can totally figure out from the story. I don't trust it. To be of a child and heir up until she took her own life. A pity, but that's the essence for another day. Above my worries over what I heard and finding that child, I had to find a proper way out of here. Thankfully, I don't have to fret over it yonder. Soon enough, a voice tore out from the opposite end of the hall. One of the Tostial staff, from what you try to deem of this uniform at this distance. He doesn't bother hiding the annoyance in his tone. From the sounds of it, it doesn't appear to be the first time someone unconsciously ended up here.
You there! What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I think I took a wrong turn somewhere.
Well, wherever it is you want to go, it isn't there.
I'm really sorry. I heard someone crying here and I thought...
Lady, this place is off limits to the public. Has been since a month ago.
Oh. It has?
Closed off for renovations. Didn't you see the signs back there? Next time, learn to read.
It won't happen again.
Whatever. Get out of here, lady. Exit's back there. Second turn on your right. Don't let me catch you here again.
Strange, though, he doesn't wait around for me to leave and walks off after saying his piece. I'm not certain if it's because he simply tired of having to fend off unauthorized personnel from roaming in here, or he's just gotten to the point that he no longer cares anymore. Shaking my head, I step back from the alcove and prepare to head out, but not before I take on Jansen then. Why? Why, Rebecca? I'm not even sure anymore what I'm expecting to see before me.
Must be the wind.
That's not the wind! How the hell is that the wind? So without another year to tip I leave it at a own. She's walking slowly, for goodness sake. Hello! I knew it was coming, I knew! It turned for me, video game. New. Oh, Ventrese Astons. Perfect. Perfect. Coming home feels like a lame attempt at numeracy. A voice returned to it. Although what surprised me more is how easily falling back into my usual routine is after I forcefully tucked all my worries away. for the rest of the afternoon, and that's what I've told Saturday before even. I've busied myself with other unimportant mindless tasks I can get a hold of. What can I do? Sleep simply isn't easy to come by at the moment. By the time the sun sits well over the horizon, much of the work I've got scheduled today has been finished. All that's yet for me to deal with is the mail. Even Isabella's family has given notice of the accident, regardless of how I felt about doing so this morning. It didn't take too much effort, actually. The words have been turned around my head, the same ones I've been dreading to deliver, have the nonsense just the meaning enough for that little tool with Ashton. Now they're just phrases, syllables, meaning nothings. Her mum did well, despite of that, but if there's more to be unraveled, the reaction she gave, it's one thing she doesn't yet show.
So very much like Isabella.
It is this because of the kind of life she has back home? Not that I ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I don't have to think about the bills or food for the next day, or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting Sid's father's meditation. All I have to worry about were my grades, if I gain Mum and Dad's approval, or what we've been having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale into passion. They yes have problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes the ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they came through the edibots in the form of fancy gnetta, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope beyond. Oh, the party! Version of a ridiculous reading. I can already imagine Isabella's wrinkling her nose if she sees this, and then she'll complain about unnecessary, expensive, and rich people's problems. Oh, wait a minute. Rebecca knows, Hannah. But they didn't say anything during their meeting when they sort of passed each other. That's kind of interesting. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if to simply brushing our hand against its tryst surface would be enough to put an ease on it, and it'd be a terrible sight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I received one. Most of the time, it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no yet surprise across my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in a neat strip. Oh.
Nothing new then.
Oh, this is someone else. Mr. Alistair and Mrs. Eliza Dales. Oh. She took her... No, wait. I don't. Their years in the academy naturally brought with its various connections people from other fields, arts, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off much more of a personal vibe. The yeses like this usually come from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they in turn treat like children of their own. I only met a few of them. Most have moved on and become successful in their own chosen careers, and little yeses like this are the way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mum and Dad are proud of, rightly so. I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's any of importance now. It's not right they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did, I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And yet, a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even as small as a thing that's letting them know they got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mum, her voice is warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that mail arrived for you. I got it last night, but things happened.
Yeah, thankfully she doesn't notice. Although if I'm down to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so, and ask me about it, but I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret, they're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party.
Huh.
From, Hannah?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so you know.
Hannah.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It's made my heart tense to read another openly said those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. Oh, Roberta. Oh, these tired things to say. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been there as a family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mum and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end. And there is more frequently with the years to I'm old enough to live on my own. I had a feeling that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah. Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca.
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
Oh, oof, bit oof.
I could go in your place.
I ate ship without fainting. Personally, I never been fond of gatherings, does how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointing note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's the street at me or some other thing doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule.
Schedule? What?
It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
Schedule.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring... I can always go alone. I'm a big girl now,
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hannah for you.
Oh, she's so happy. Yes.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember from that time is my wife, is Ashton and Mandy. To some extent. Who's Mandy? What am I saying? Mum must have sensed my confusion because she has.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having two daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Dar to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. The hearty one, tender and always dry to my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. The sign of still echoes even as our tool comes to an abrupt end, bringing it with a memory from so many years ago. When the eyeful responsibilities that I accompany adulthood. Adulthood? What? When the eyeful responsibilities that accompanied adulthood are things far from the minds. If given the chance, I have to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, sinking all the way almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my mind. Always headed for, it's not mine. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal with a phone call and bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. Soon the exhaustion I've been keeping at bay since the last night rushes over me, creeping to my tired bones, weighing heavy on my sore muscles. Here and now I allow it. And with another night I'm about to spend on her bedside, watching over her, waiting for that tiny bit of miracle to happen, I can't afford to stay at this. Bloody hell, Satri. Bloody hell, Satri would know in a heartbeat if I didn't follow up on that promise. So another sigh, put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. The night awaits ahead of me. 4 hours later, I'm heading back out after a short nap, ready and dressed for a different waiting game at the hospital. An empty travelling bag dangles free in my hand as I head straight for Isabella's room, bursting on the door with a copy of the tea. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. She entered years ago. I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was pretty unnecessary back then, after all I could always not. But she never did bother taking them from me, always turning it or turning away from the conversation wherever I insist. At one point I simply stopped trying to hand it back to her. And who would have thought I'll be just using it for this purpose?
Isabella, I'm coming into your flat, all right? Your aunt asked me to bring you a few of your things. Don't worry, I won't touch that thing you've been hiding under your bed.
The affable, just vain attempt at courtesy when there are no ears on the other side to listen to them. Oh. Yes. Yes. So, while waiting for the answer, she's not here to give, I push the door open and step inside. What's on me inside? Ah, the usual. My missus' room. Her unit is still a mess. Instant little tucks on the table, a pile of clothes on one side, papers strewed about everywhere, and an untapped bed among other things. This, much as Divin, will always be a Divin. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function as a human being with a pacing state. Oh wait, the TV's been on this entire time. Oh, that's interesting. She didn't even bother turning off her terror. Yeah, last night before even. Now it's filling the room with even more depressing news.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Sorry, and I reached for the remote to turn it off. Now, since they refuse to say anything, that doesn't mean I expect them wholeheartedly and having the blame of everything now. Only a tiny bit. But they probably just don't know what's going on themselves. And yes, Rohan Sanchez has took over the Briar Realty Corporation and has been causing murders that happen in the places that he sells. Yes. I'm on to you, Rohan. And I'm on to you. What am I doing? No more of that. We've got plenty of negativity going around us right now. Besides, she's definitely complaining about the extra bill if I just leave it, even if it's entirely her fault. Now, that's neither here nor there. The your detour isn't for this. It's for her aunt. Hi, thanks for letting me know about this. I'll be by in a few days, just need to sort things out with my word. If it won't be too much to ask, could you bring a few of her stuff to hospital only for 2 or 3 days? So I can head straight there, thanks. Any request for her if we can bring over a few of Isabella's stuff? Just 2 or 3 days to make turn for her easier once she takes over from us. She doesn't elaborate much. The message itself is short and direct, no mention of the accident or even Isabella's name. But the mere yet of it holds enough gravity. Speaks of things we all dread facing in the next few days, and little truths we have to ease into after. Both of us know it isn't a one-day thing, and may last weeks, months, barely health, or even continue on for years. Thinking of those numbers alone drains the optimism out of me, but I refuse to wallow on them. Thinking of what Sadu said instead. He's right. He has a point. We've all known about her years ago. She's stubborn.
And she might make it through because of it.
The odds are, so to speak, astronomical. But she's beaten worse before. She might even need that miracle the doctors so blatantly told us to avoid hoping for. If she tried hard enough, she'd probably win over this with willpower and nothing else. If that happens as unsightly as it may make me seem, I'll laugh at their faces. Just imagine how I might do bring a smile on my face for the first time. Somehow it calms and the whole task of packing what little essential might need becomes yes of a chore, and yes, then half an hour I'm done. For even I spare Isabella's room one last chance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I had a chance I stole her for this mess later, then we'll argue about it, yet we often do, yet normal. But for a moment, my concerns are best left here. She doesn't need those right now. Well, I am going to probably end it short there. We had a spooky moment, and not a lot of dramatic things happened. I feel that was more of an echo more than an actual haunting. Like, perhaps this was what Lady Charlotte did to that doll. Perhaps the little doll is the ghost herself. Who can say? But this was interesting. We're diving more into Rebecca and how she functions as a person. I am kind of hating her parents right now. I can't help it, but that's the way it is. But overall, I'm intrigued. It's more of a depressing episode for this, due to the fact that of what the content was doing, of what the story is leading to. But overall, I can't wait to see where this continues, and if Rebecca can handle the dose even more, because I don't know, I feel like she's got more of a stronger handle on the spooky side. I don't know, just a thought I had. But I was right about how if you had trauma, the dose used it. If you didn't, it just manifests itself. It tries to be creative in its own way. I'm intrigued. But yes, I hope you have fun. And I'll see you very shortly soon with another Yetta. Overall, farewell, and have a good one. Goodbye.